The huge creature before us is a primeval troll. It ventures out to hunt every night. It makes a dramatic entrance by violently tearing through the ceiling of a bar. The patrons inside scramble to take out their phones to post on social media, but in the next second, the troll suddenly stretches out its massive hand to grab people. Then it devours them one by one. The military receives the report and rushes to the scene for rescue. Can they stop the tragedy from unfolding further? And where exactly did this monster come from? In 1015 AD, King Olaf II became the new ruler of Norway. He took on the crucial mission of spreading Christianity, but he couldn't tolerate the ancient creatures that had coexisted peacefully with humans for years, so he issued an order to expel and slaughter these beings, known as trolls. Trolls turned to stone when exposed to sunlight. Those who fled fast were turned to stone, while those who were too slow had their heads chopped off. This is the story of the Troll Massacre. Little girl Nora listened with great fascination. She asked her father why King Olaf had been so cruel. The trolls had settled on that land first, so why did he have to kill them so brutally? It was completely unreasonable. If she had lived in that era, she would have found a way to help the trolls. At this point, Nora's mother thought it was getting late, and told her to go to bed early, promising that she would take her to visit the troll wall. Someday, 30 years later, in Jotunheimen, Norway, a small wooden cabin sat deep in the snow-capped mountains. A man walked in without permission, only to be swiftly pinned to the ground by the grown-up Nora. As she was about to beat him to death, the man hastily shouted Nora's name and took off his hat, realizing it was Asbjorn, a comrade she had worked with many times. Nora quickly glanced at the door. Asbjorn said he was alone, and had something he needed Nora's help with. The government had made a new discovery. The two then boarded a helicopter. Asbjorn took out a non-disclosure agreement, and asked Nora to sign it, which she did after a quick glance, though she didn't sign her real name at all. Before long, the helicopter landed at the Vemork power station. As soon as they walked in, they saw two paleontology professors. The professors were very excited, claiming that Nora would be so shocked her heart would stop. When she went underground, Nora had no idea what was so mysterious, but when she saw the enormous troll standing in front of her, she was stunned speechless. Asbjorn excitedly said he had named the troll Jotun, and the creature had been in a deep sleep. To prevent accidents, they had specially installed UV lights around it. If anything went wrong, the troll would be exposed to the UV light, and turned to stone instantly. Nora didn't understand why they had to move the troll to the laboratory, when it had been sleeping peacefully in the mountains. Before Asbjorn could reply, the project supervisor approached, questioning him in Persian why he insisted on involving Nora. During previous troll crises, Nora had always stopped the military's threat elimination plans, opting for gentle persuasion instead. This made her quite unpopular. Asbjorn felt helpless too, explaining that if their project showed no progress, the government would definitely order everyone to pack up and leave. Nora, not understanding their conversation, asked what they had discovered. The supervisor replied that the troll's DNA was similar to that of spruce trees.
They are nature.
The supervisor asked what she meant by that. Nora recounted the story she had heard as a child, but the supervisor had no interest in her tales. The atmosphere turned awkward, so Asbjorn took Nora upstairs to show her around, taking the opportunity to introduce his pregnant wife. They hadn't been together in the previous movie. No one expected they would hit it off later. Nora didn't know what to say, so she simply offered her congratulations. She then followed Asbjorn to see ancient books in various languages, all of which were about trolls. There were even laws enacted by King Olaf II, dating back to around 1030 AD. Some parts were missing, but it was clear what they were trying to convey. King Olaf II had issued an order to expel the trolls. This aligned with the story Nora had heard. King Olaf II was indeed a villain, but what did capturing and studying a troll have to do with any of this? Asbjorn said that to prevent future incidents of troll rampages, humans needed to fully understand them. But the problem now was that the professors had been researching for a long time with little progress. Left with no other options, they had to pin their hopes on Nora, hoping she would join in to help find a breakthrough. Then everyone stared at her intently. They expected Nora to give a response, but to their surprise, she asked to use the restroom. Asbjorn's wife showed her the way. She went downstairs alone, then sneaked into the elevator when no one was looking. When the elevator brought her face to face with the troll, she placed her hand on it, closed her eyes to feel it intently, and hummed an ancient ballad. Just then, the staff monitoring the data noticed something was wrong. The troll's physical data had actually changed. Terrified, he quickly notified the supervisor, but Nora, thinking her song had no effect, was about to leave in disappointment, when suddenly there was a loud noise behind her. She turned around and saw that the troll had woken up. She was frozen in shock. At this point, the professor noticed. The troll was repelled by the iron chains on its wrists, and trying to break free, he hastily ordered his team to turn on the UV lights, but found that the low intensity had little effect. He wanted to switch to high intensity to destroy the troll, but the supervisor quickly stopped him, saying their research had finally made progress. They absolutely couldn't let it all vanish into thin air, but the troll was struggling even more violently than before. The professor, terrified, told the staff to turn on the lights immediately, but the supervisor insisted on his decision, and poured coffee on the equipment, burning it out. Now all the UV lights went out, and the troll was completely unrestrained. Asbjorn knew something terrible was about to happen, and shouted for Nora to run for her life. She hurried into the elevator, and as it descended, the troll had already broken free of one chain. The researchers below scattered in terror, and the scene descended into chaos, but Nora had nowhere to run. Fearing the troll would attack, she had to cling to the elevator cable. Nora, along with the elevator, was forced to slide a long way before finally stopping. At this point, guards arrived at the scene with guns in hand. They fired wildly at the troll, but the attacks were no more than a scratch to it. The troll accidentally stepped on and killed someone, then continued moving forward, smashing through the power station's ceiling without hesitation. Seeing that the outside was a forest, it turned around and left without a second thought. Asbjorn, who witnessed all this, knew they had messed up badly, so he asked Nora what she had done earlier. Later, everyone moved to a new location to discuss countermeasures. The supervisor and Nora got into a heated argument. Due to their conflicting views, Nora believed humans should not study trolls. They were living, thinking beings. Maliciously locking them up for research was simply unethical. But the supervisor disagreed, firmly believing the research was valuable. As they argued, military personnel and the Prime Minister arrived. The Prime Minister said that, when he first heard about the troll research plan, he had thought it was far too risky, and sure enough, something went wrong. The supervisor quickly interrupted him, saying that risk and opportunity went hand in hand. If they could seize this opportunity,
we can capture it and get it under our control.
There's no controlling natural force.
The supervisor really hated Nora contradicting her. She shouted, "What else can we do if we don't control the troll? Should we just let it run wild all over the world?" Then the two started arguing again. The Prime Minister quickly intervened, saying that while research was important, protecting the safety of the Norwegian people was even more so. A crazed troll had attacked the capital before, causing countless casualties, and he couldn't let such a tragedy happen again, so they had to eliminate the troll before it reached the city. The supervisor wasn't satisfied with this decision. She was still waiting to conduct her research, but Nora was even more agitated. She accused the Prime Minister. "Are you going to make the same mistake as last time? The troll accidentally awakened 3 years ago, had no ill intentions. It was humans who insisted on harming it. It only fought back because it felt threatened. It was innocent, yet because of humans, it was exposed to sunlight and turned into an inanimate stone." The Prime Minister said sorrowfully, the troll's actions were completely uncontrollable. Even ordinary church bells could enrage them. The troll 3 years ago had cruelly killed his younger brother and many soldiers, simply because it hated the sound of bells. He couldn't bear for such a thing to happen again. Nora had no words to refute. She fidgeted with a piece of stone fragment dejectedly. Asbjorn recognized that it belonged to the troll that had been killed by sunlight. Nora said she had kept it to remind herself constantly not to repeat her past mistakes. Asbjorn comforted her, saying that experience teaches wisdom, mistakes serve as warnings, and can also inspire people to keep fighting. Deeply encouraged, Nora begged the military to let her join the operation. Major Chris refused, explaining that bringing Nora along 3 years ago had cost the lives of many of their comrades, but he couldn't resist Nora's emotional appeals, and Chris finally agreed, mostly because he was confident this time. The military had modified the helicopters and equipped them with high-intensity UV lights. The troll would definitely turn to stone once exposed to the light. As he was explaining, the supervisor unexpectedly showed up to join them, claiming that the troll belonged to her, and she needed to go check on it. Before the operation, Asbjorn said a reluctant goodbye to his wife. Chris urged him to hurry, for once night fell, the troll would start moving. They arrived at a ski resort that was having a night party. People could not only ski here, but also dance around bonfires, or dance to music in the bar. Everyone was having a great time. But just then, a strange noise came from outside. The DJ quickly turned off the music. Before anyone could react, the bar's ceiling suddenly disappeared without a trace. Faced with the colossal creature in front of them, the bar patrons scrambled to take out their phones to film it, exclaiming how cute it was as they recorded, but unexpectedly, the troll let out a sudden roar, then stretched out its massive hand to grab people. Only then did everyone realize the danger, and flee in all directions. The troll devoured them one by one. Nora was stunned by the sight, so she didn't stop Chris from turning on the UV lights. The moment the light hit the troll, its skin began to sizzle and burn. Chris was excited, and ordered an immediate pursuit to press their advantage, but Nora still couldn't bear it, begging him not to get too close. It would be enough to render the troll immobile. As soon as she finished speaking, the troll picked up a telephone pole and smashed it into a helicopter. One helicopter was instantly destroyed. Chris shed tears as he watched his comrade fall, determined to kill the troll with the UV light. Nora urged him to calm down, but Chris was consumed by rage. He wanted to avenge his comrade, but unluckily, the UV light malfunctioned, and he could only watch helplessly as the troll turned and left. Before long, the charred body of the fallen comrade was dug up. The supervisor, who witnessed everything, admitted she had been wrong. She hadn't realized how terrifying the troll truly was, but Nora still defended the troll, saying not all trolls were like this, certainly not the one from 3 years ago. It had only wanted to go home. But this troll was truly unreasonable. Perhaps the grievances from 1,000 years ago made it resent all humans equally. In the end, it was still humanity's fault. To persuade the troll to coexist peacefully with humans, Nora planned to find a mediator to pass a message. So they traveled to the Dovrefjell Mountains, entered a mine, and searched around. On the other side, there was a farm near the Gudbrandsdalen Valley. The farmer was on the phone with his wife, discussing what wallpaper to buy for their new house, when his dog suddenly started barking frantically for no reason. Following the dog's gaze, the farmer was so terrified he wet his pants. He could only watch helplessly as the troll crushed his new house underfoot, but he should have been grateful it was early morning. The troll was in a hurry to find shelter before the sun came up and had no interest in eating him. Meanwhile, Nora and the others continued deeper into the mine. The supervisor asked what they were looking for. Nora replied that she had heard a story. Humans had once kidnapped the Troll King's son as bait to eliminate him. As soon as the Troll King arrived, humans would pull down the boulders above and kill him with sunlight. But the Troll King reacted quickly and escaped. Though he did die later, no one knew what had happened to the young troll. Humans never found its body, so Nora guessed the young troll was still alive. She tapped the ground gently with a small stone. When she heard a sound coming from below, she immediately told everyone to be quiet, and to put away all their weapons. In the next second, Nora carefully held up the stone fragment. The creature below, sensing the scent of its own kind, kept sniffing. Nora took the opportunity to explain that this young troll was the son of the Troll King, a member of the legitimate royal lineage. She then placed her hand on the young troll's nose, and it responded friendly by puffing air gently. Nora was overjoyed, gesturing for Chris and the others to come closer too. She told them to communicate with the young troll through their feelings. To their surprise, the young troll actually responded. Nora begged it for help. Before long, the group arrived at Jotunheimen. Because the clouds here were very thick, when Nora fired a flare gun, the giant troll came without any hesitation. As it approached Nora, the young troll emerged from the snow. The two bared their teeth and communicated with each other. Chris wanted to take the opportunity to attack the giant troll.
It's their fight this time.
But the problem was, the giant troll refused to listen to the young troll's persuasion. It stamped hard on the ice, and the unsuspecting young troll fell into the icy water instantly. Nora wanted to help but was completely powerless. Worse still, the giant troll was about to attack her. Chris rushed over, grabbed her, and ran as fast as he could to the helicopter. Luckily, the giant troll failed to shoot down the helicopter, but Nora couldn't feel happy at all. Staring at the ice hole where the young troll had fallen, she couldn't hold back her tears any longer and burst into tears. After returning to a safe location, the supervisor, seeing that she was still depressed, brought up the young troll. She said that before this, she had taken the young troll out once, and they had watched the starry sky together for a while. Then the young troll had timidly retreated back into the mine. It was hard to imagine how much courage it had mustered to agree to come help this time. As they spoke, a sudden gust of wind blew the map away. Asbjorn quickly helped pick it up. The supervisor glanced at it curiously. and noticed that the giant troll's movement path was very strange. It looked like it was on a pilgrimage. Nora suddenly realized that the giant troll's final destination must be Trondheim. This place was originally called Nidaros, where King Olaf II was crowned.
He wants revenge.
With this realization, the group hurried to Trondheim by helicopter, and sought help from a clergyman, asking to find King Olaf II's tomb. The clergyman led them to the church basement, where there were murals covering the entire wall. The clergyman said they had shouted with excitement when they discovered the wall, thinking they had found the tomb, but later realized it was a false alarm. They hadn't found King Olaf II's body. They guessed that the body had been there for a period of time, but had been moved by someone later. Asbjorn was fascinated by the murals and, in his excitement, reached out to touch them a few times, accidentally damaging a small part. He hastily apologized, saying he hadn't done it on purpose. The clergyman told him to be quiet.
A spear in the belly.
She then picked off a piece of stone from the mural's leg area, explaining that these spots represented wounds. King Olaf II had been wounded 3 times by spears in a battle, and the fatal wound was actually on his neck. After she removed all the stones marking the wounds, Nora quickly inserted a torch into one of the holes and twisted it. After a series of movements, the hidden door in the wall unexpectedly opened. Everyone looked inside curiously, shocked to find that the coffin was hidden behind it all along. Nora wanted to open it to check, but the clergyman scolded her for being so disrespectful. Nora understood that the clergyman held deep respect for King Olaf II, but the situation was urgent now. Perhaps only by opening the coffin could they figure out what had really happened 1,000 years ago, and thus stop the troll. The clergyman hesitated for a moment, then agreed. Tears of emotion streamed down her face when she saw King Olaf II's body. It was astonishing that after over 1,000 years, King Olaf II's sword was still well preserved. Asbjorn explained that the sword was made of silver, a soft material that wouldn't corrode. Its purpose here was probably similar to a model. Theoretically, it had no actual combat capability at all. Just then, Nora noticed a piece of paper in King Olaf II's arms. She quickly took it out to examine, and everyone froze when they read what was written on it. It turned out that this half piece of paper was exactly the missing part of the earlier law. With the law now complete, everyone realized they had misunderstood King Olaf II all along. In the law, he had stated that trolls shouldn't be expelled from the land by humans to give them a place to live. He had specifically chosen Jotunheimen as their homeland, so he was actually a kind-hearted king. But the church had disagreed with him, intending to kill all the trolls. They had thus allied with local nobles and murdered the king.
That means Olaf isn't the target anymore. He's going after the backbone of our nation.
Meanwhile, videos of the troll attacking humans went viral on social media. Reporters defended the farmer near the Gudbrandsdalen Valley. His house had been crushed by a troll 3 years ago, and after finally repairing it, it was destroyed again. Back to square one, the public relentlessly criticized the military for its incompetence. The Prime Minister was forced to step forward to reassure everyone, saying the military had done its best, and that they would now do everything possible to evacuate the residents of Trondheim. Little did they know, the troll's target wasn't just Trondheim. Its true goal was to wipe out all Norwegians. On the other side, Chris and the others had no intention of retreating. They knew that even if Trondheim fell, the troll wouldn't stop its path of revenge. It would be better to fight bravely, to protect their homes and loved ones. But this troll was more special than the one from 3 years ago. It had a high tolerance for artificial UV light, so ordinary UV lights wouldn't be very effective. They had to find another way to defeat it. Nora quickly flipped through her notes, discovering that humans had used silver swords to fight trolls 1,000 years ago, but silver was too soft to be an effective weapon.
The only thing magical about silver is it won't corrode.
Nora asked. Silver is waterproof, right? When she got an affirmative reply, she quickly dipped a knife in the holy water nearby, then used it to cut the stone fragments she had with her. To her surprise, it worked wonders. This was the real reason silver swords had killed trolls 1,000 years ago. But the troll was so huge, where would they get enough holy water? The clergyman said it was easy. Under King Olaf II's coffin was the Olaf's holy spring. Learning that the military was busy evacuating Trondheim's residents, Nora rushed to the center of the crowd, shouting through a megaphone that they were going to fight the troll next, and asking for everyone's help. Determined to protect their homes, people grabbed buckets and flocked to the church to help, transporting holy water from the basement to the ground. Meanwhile, the soldiers were tasked with making special ammunition using the holy water. By nightfall, The soldiers had taken up their ambush positions. A few seconds later, a colossal figure appeared in the distance. When they saw the troll approaching, Asbjorn and the clergyman immediately rang the church bells. The troll, hearing the bells, covered its ears and screamed in agony, and the soldiers, seeing it distracted, launched a fierce attack on it without delay. Faced with the barrage of special ammunition and the deafening church bells, the troll pulled up a tree and hurled it fiercely at the church. The church bells were smashed to pieces. Now free to move, the troll stormed toward the soldiers in a rage. The crowd fled in panic, but luckily, they still had an ace up their sleeve. The holy water had worked to some extent, but it hadn't killed the troll. This was a disaster. Nora and the others fled as fast as they could in terror. At the critical moment, loud roars came from behind. Following the sound, they saw the young troll approaching. Overjoyed to see it alive, Nora burst into tears. The young troll bravely charged forward to fight. It was an epic showdown between the two trolls. No one knew who would emerge victorious. Nora and the others watched nervously for a moment, realizing that the young troll was simply too inexperienced. The giant troll had survived ancient clan wars 1,000 years ago, while the young troll had spent its life hiding in a mine, never seeing the world. Naturally, it was no match. Nora wanted to help, asking if forcing the holy water down the giant troll's throat would work. The supervisor nodded affirmatively, explaining that they had studied the troll's anatomy and found that it had a heart-like organ inside. Perhaps they could use a helicopter to pour the holy water into the giant troll's stomach. Chris said there was only one bucket of holy water left. They couldn't afford to fail. He then ran to start the helicopter with Asbjorn. Meanwhile, seeing the young troll was about to be killed, Nora grabbed her gun and rushed forward to help. The supervisor quickly followed with her gun to back her up. On the other side, Chris and Asbjorn had boarded the helicopter. They were busy discussing how to make the giant troll open its mouth when they accidentally dropped the bucket of holy water. Asbjorn grabbed the bucket in panic, but couldn't stop the detonator from falling. He told Chris the detonator was broken, and Chris said they would have to detonate it manually. He pulled out a grenade, admitting that the bomb had to be detonated when the bucket was near the monster, which meant someone would have to sacrifice themselves. Meanwhile, Nora's gun jammed. The supervisor told her to retreat quickly, but Nora was worried about the young troll's safety. She stayed where she was, frantically trying to fix her gun. Just then, the helicopter flew above the giant troll. The troll opened its mouth wide and roared in defiance. Chris urged Asbjorn to seize the moment. Asbjorn tearfully said a loving goodbye to his wife over the radio, asking her to tell their son that his father was a superhero. With that, he jumped out bravely. As he approached the troll, he pulled the grenade pin without hesitation. The troll clutched its chest in panic. Realizing its body was disintegrating, it let out a roar of unwillingness, but it was all in vain. Once the giant troll was completely dead, the young troll finally stood up, overwhelmed with relief that it was alive. Nora couldn't hold back her tears. King Olaf II's tomb became a famous tourist attraction. Asbjorn's son was also born, and the young troll no longer had to hide in the mine all the time. As long as there was no strong light outside, it could wander around freely. The film ends here. In fact, the female lead's compassionate portrayal in this film is quite reasonable. She understands that the trolls are pitiful. If the church hadn't deliberately expelled and slaughtered them 1,000 years ago, the trolls wouldn't have ended up in their current predicament. Yet when she clearly saw the troll trying to harm innocent people, she didn't foolishly try to stop it. This is very reassuring. Moreover, the special effects are significantly better than the first film. The action scenes are exciting enough without being overly gory or violent, making it suitable even for watching with kids. The most pleasant surprise is that the director's aesthetic is consistently on point. The shots of Norway's natural scenery are perfectly captured. Overall, it's a great film. If you enjoyed my channel, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.